All right, it's the Brandon Cruz Daily Fantasy Podcast, where I go look at low plays and strategies specifically designed for GPPs. This is a show for people who are already informed on daily fantasy sports and how this contest operates. If you have any questions related to NASCAR that isn't a stupid question, feel free to shoot them my way on Twitter at BrandonCruzDFS. Most importantly, take everything here with a grain of salt and use your best judgment when making entries. Additionally, if you have a gambling addiction, that's just not my problem. Check your sensitive feelings at the door. We're focusing on the Xfinity Series at the Daytona Road Course. Before we get into that, you can find lap-by-lap data and everything easy to read at racefortheprize.com. I highly advise you to go over there and check that out. You can also support me on Patreon at BrandonCruzDFS on Twitter. You get my projections, my heat map, my opinions on most of the drivers. I mean, in terms of who I would play in what situations, my favorite plays for Super Draft, FanDuel, things of that nature for the Cup Series as well. And I cover all three series on there, $18.99 a month. And really what I'm doing there is I'm saving you time. That's really what I'm selling. I'm selling you a way for you to get that time back, so you don't have to waste hours looking through all these drivers, so you don't have to waste time going through and determining who has the best play here or there. And I mean, you get what I'm saying here, but I just want to point that out. Brandon Cruz DFS on Twitter if you would like to know more about me, or Brandon Cruz DFS on Patreon if you want to go and support me and this channel. So looking at this, and I probably need to bold this out once more because I always forget to do that. Usually I like going in these races really looking at, diving in of who's going to be quick or how can I build lineups and things of that nature. Well, there's an elephant in the room this week, and the elephant's name is Ty Gibbs. Horrible mispricing on DraftKings. He's $4,700. We have to talk about the Ty Gibbs chalk, and we ran into situations last year to where we had people like Jesse Little, we had people like BJ McLeod starting in the same area around the same price, and they did work out. Why is this different? Why is this Ty Gibbs play why does it play such a component this week? And I can even throw Chris Wright into this situation as well. He's $4,600 starting 19th. Why is this the main focus of the week? Because, look, obviously Ty or Chris can obviously wreck, and they're going to, even if they wreck, I don't think they really hurt unless they finish last and give you like negative 20 points. But, whether you go to Ty Gibbs or Chris Wright or however you want to play, if you want to punt one of these guys like in the 46 or in the fourth, under the 5K range, it allows you to play all the studs. Looking at projections, looking at lineups that I'm looking at my projections for this race, I think that's the path that's going to outscore all the other paths in lineup construction. Whether you're chasing lap leaders, whether you're chasing place differential, Ty Gibbs and Chris Wright are incredibly important in your lineups. The reason that is because Ty Gibbs is so cheap, and this isn't a lineup that I'm giving out. I'm just assuming that most people are going to go this way. You can play Cindric, Allmendinger, Ty Gibbs, and then you can play multiple of these guys in the back, and you don't have to worry about salary. Obviously, you do. You can't just play all the studs, but the Ty Gibbs, the ability that Ty gives you in your lineups, the ability that Chris gives you in your lineups to just throw in as many studs, and in a race where I think place differential is going to really outweigh the benefits of finding a main lap leader. I still want the one lap leader in my lineups. I still want the guy who's going to win the race in my lineups. I would assume that's going to be Cindric or AJ Allmendinger. I assume that these guys are going to be the ones or the two favorites to lead a good portion of this race. Now, am I chasing both those? Am I chasing one of them? It really doesn't matter which way you're going to go. I would probably choose one. I'm going to build multiple lineups. I'll probably play lineups with both Cindric and AJ Allmendinger in it. But, I think I'm eating the chalk. Ty Gibbs and Chris Wright. I'm going to, kind of probably bounce off of each one of these guys just to try and get a little bit different. Probably, use Chris Wright as a pivot off of Ty Gibbs. But look, there's no reason Ty Gibbs doesn't finish 15th. There's no reason he doesn't finish inside the top 10. If you look at Chris, very similar upside, in my opinion. maybe a tad safer. I don't think he offers you that like top 10, that top 5 upside that Ty Gibbs does, but Chris Wright is certainly in the same ballpark. And if a vast majority of lineups are going to be made with expensive studs and then Ty Gibbs, expensive studs, and then Chris Wright and things of that nature, it's hard to really look anywhere else. And so when you look at my rankings this week, Brett Moffitt, I'm not interested in it at all. Austin Cindric, I like. Burton, not really. Harrison Burton, not really. Hemrick, no. A. Allmendinger, yes. Brandon Brown, no. Matt Snyder, no. Graff Jr., Mills, Weatherman, Vargas, Little, no. I can be aggressive in this player pool. I can be aggressive in this ranking. I don't want anything to do with these guys. I have no reason to play these guys. If I'm focusing on Ty Gibbs and Chris Wright for a value, and then you have people who are not priced accordingly, like Preston Pardis, Andy Lally. I think he's a bit too cheap. Jade Buffer farther down here. It's really not frustrating. It's just everybody's going to be going down the same rabbit hole, and for good reason. I just think using Ty or Wright is going to be mandatory and probably optimal in terms of getting as the higher scoring guys. But you don't need Graff, Mills, Weatherman, Vargas, Little. You don't need Herbst. I know Herbst there. I have him as a C, but I don't think you need him. You don't need Timmy Hill. You don't need Jeremy Clements. You don't need Tommy Joe Martins. You don't need Josh Williams. I'd much rather play Pardis over Josh Williams. I like Lally. I like Pardis. I like Allgaier. I like Gregson. Sieg would probably be the guy looking out or on the outside looking into my player pool, the guys I'm focusing on. I have him as a D because maybe you like what he's looking like. You feel like you're going to get something out. But even looking at his track history, I'm not interested in it. I know he finished 11th at the road course last year, but I don't like Ryan Sieg here. I like Buford. I like Haley. I like Greg Galding. Greg Galding, I guess, is a guy that I'll focus on a lot. At the the Charlotte Roval last year when it was raining and everything, he was running for Mike Harmon. He brought his own sponsor. He was, really looking forward to this. And I expect the same thing to happen here, to where Greg Galding can go above and beyond what he did. Now, if you look at how he finished in that race, you're going to be like, wow, Greg Galding did horrible. Why are you touting Greg Galding when he finished 25th? Is this another Derek Cope story? And aside, look, if I would have known Derek Cope was going to be 0.7% owned, I probably would have been 100% on that guy, just for the upside, especially with all those guys wrecking later. If he could have just made it through, it would have been awesome. Anyway, Greg Galding finished 28th at the Roval. Why did he finish 28th? Well, he was running inside the top 12. He just missed a chicane. He actually didn't have radio communications during the last portion of that race, so he missed the chicane. NASCAR was saying, hey, you got to do a drive-through penalty. Hey, you're supposed to serve your penalty, and he couldn't hear them. So he drove around for 5 laps without radio communication. Well, unbeknownst to him, they stopped scoring him. They stopped scoring Greg Galding for 2 laps, so he went around the track 2 times after they stopped scoring him. He was displayed the black flag, then he was displayed the black flag with a white X on it. He was not being scored. He didn't know that. As soon as he got radio communication back, they were like, hey, Greg, you need to come down. They're not scoring you. He's like, what? So that there went his great day at the Roval. I don't see that happening. Greg Galding was my favorite play at the Roval, was working out great till then. I think Greg Galding's going to be in the same situation here. I'm really going to use Greg Galding a lot. And so back to what I was saying earlier, say if I'm using Greg Galding paired with Ty Gibbs or Chris Wright or something along those lines, I can play whoever I want. I can play exactly whoever I want. And so that's probably the course that I'm going to end up going with. I'm not interested in Curry. I'm not interested in Howard. I don't see a reason to play them right now. Michael Annett, maybe, but I think he's going to be chalk. I think Michael Annett, yeah, sure, he's $8,700. He has high upside. He's probably going to get inside the top 12, top 15. I would much rather fade the Michael Annett chalk instead of the Ty Gibbs chalk, instead of the Chris Wright chalk. I'd much rather be under the field on Michael Annett and just use that, not salaries that you get, but move that salary over to try and fit in Buford, Haley, Galding, Gregson, Allgaier, Andy Lally, Preston Pardis. So for me, I think Michael Annett is kind of a guy that I'm not going to be real high on. I think he's an all right play. I think he offers great place differential. I just think the field is going to be on this as well, and this is probably the one guy I'm going to be hesitant to play and really focus on. And I mean, you got to take a stand somewhere, and so I would probably focus on not being on Michael Annett or pivoting off of him and going other places. Light, not interested in him. Miguel Paludo, I like this for Junior Motorsports. Miguel Paludo comes from road racing. I know he was in the truck series, and the only thing I can think of is Rick Allen screaming, "There goes Miguel Paludo into the wall" at Daytona, but Miguel knows what he's doing on these road courses. There's a reason Junior's putting him in this car. I see him running extremely well. He'll probably be competing for a top 10. So in the same situation, am I going to pay $8,700 for Michael Annett, or am I going to pay $8,200 for Miguel Paludo? I'm going to go Miguel Paludo. I don't see a reason to go to Annett. So that's just my 2 cents there. Alex Labay, $8,800. Who do I want to go with? Michael Annett, $8,700, starting 33rd, or Alex Labay, $8,800, starting 36th. I want to go with Alex Labay. I think he offers a higher upside. So once again, I'm at least defending why I'm not too high on Annett this weekend, and why I kind of think he's a guy that he's going to be very popular. But if you really look around and look at the plays around him, he's probably easily the third or fourth best play back here. So moving down, Jeffrey Earnhardt, not interested. I mean, $6,500. I'm not a fan of that. I'd much rather go to Cody Ware, starting 38th. If we look at how he performed in the Roval, he did extremely well. I was very high on Cody Ware going into that race. Same thing here. I think the Rick Ware car is going to be extremely fast. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Rick Ware has a ton of money. It's going to lead to success in NASCAR at some point. This is a great use of his money, using the funds that he has to put a competitive car in there, put his son in the car. I mean, this is Cody Ware at $6,200 is just, if anything, I don't want to say lock, because nobody's ever a real lock, but if you pair Cody Ware with Ty Gibbs, if you pair Greg Galding with Ty Gibbs, if you pay either one of those guys with Chris Wright, if you pair any of those guys together, it leaves you a ton of salary to go up and get guys like Brandon Jones, get guys like Noah Gragson, Allgaier. So it's really who you're using to get up to, the quote-unquote good plays, or the studs, or the good teams. And so rounding it off, Brandon Jones starting 39th. MBM still determining who their driver is, starting 40th, and we're waiting for the driver to be determined for 21st place in the 23 car. But I'm just not interested in those plays, no matter who they are. I have the player pool that I like. Brandon Jones, I like him a lot. I would not be shocked to see Brandon Jones running inside the top 5 at the end of this race. So if that's the case, and you're paying up for Brandon Jones at $9,000, you're paying up for Austin Cindric at $10,700. You're paying up for AJ Allmendinger at $10,900. I mean, this is how it comes back to Ty Gibbs, how it comes back to Chris Wright to find that salary relief. And then once you got that, you got Preston Pardus, Andy Lally, Allgaier, Gregson, Buford, Haley. I mean, this is the type of race that we're in. This is the type of situation we're in as DFS players. We're going to have probably one lap leader, and then just chasing a ton of place differential. And there's a ton of place differential here. Now, last thing here is this is a series that needs practice. I said it in the Truck Series race. I'll say it again. NASCAR doesn't want to throw yellows at these races, because this is a long caution period at these road courses, especially Daytona. This is like 8 to 10 to 12 minutes under yellow. When it's a yellow here, that's a lot of TV time. They don't want to waste it for that. So unless they have to throw a yellow, they're not going to throw a yellow. Unless somebody is stuck in an Armco barrier upside down on fire, they don't want to throw a yellow. So if somebody spins out, they're most likely going to keep it green. This is going to be important when we get late in the race. And we saw last year that a lot of the road course ringers, a lot of road course chalk had issues here. So that's another situation you have to look at. You also have to look at the issue of stage racing and how each team is going to approach it. Are they going to go for stage points? Are they not going to go for stage points? However they go about that is going to determine how well off they are entering the last stage, entering the last portion of the race. And so it's just so many things going into this race that I just don't see it being worth chasing guys other than Cindric, AJ Allmendinger inside the top 10. I don't see it's really worth chasing anybody inside the top 20 other than Wright, Ty Gibbs, Allmendinger, and Cindric, where I think the majority of lineups, or I think the majority of your lineup should come from, would be 39th to 23rd. That's just the area that I'm going to be pulling drivers from. That's how I'm going to make my lineups, and that's how I would suggest for you to make lineups. I just think that's how it's going to be. And so we have to determine who the drivers who are most likely to be optimal from that little pool right there. So that's why this video is a lot shorter than normal. We don't, obviously, please dive into the lap data, look into that type of stuff on your own time if you feel like that's important to you, or get my stuff at BrandonCruzDFS on Patreon. But I mean, it's a place differential game. That's as simple as it is for this weekend. In pretty much all three series, you're going to be focusing on place differential over lap sled, certainly in the truck and the Xfinity series. So that's how I'm going to approach it. Hopefully that helps you guys out. It gives you an idea of where I am with these guys. And thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you next time. And, best of luck. We got a live stream coming up Saturday at 2 Eastern, I believe. So check it out on my Twitter to clarify if that's the right time. So I'll see you guys later. Hope you enjoy the video and have a good weekend.